Yeah, I mean, I look like a lot of people.
They call it like
light skin with a beard.
Yeah, they called him Drake for like the first 3 days.
Yeah.
Then one of the homies called him VanVleet, and that junk stuck.
Light skin with a beard. That's probably about 3,000 barbers that be DMing me. They say they look like me.
That ain't nothing but jealousy.
Yeah, you know it.
With your hustler shirt on.
And I got this. Cause me and Asia went over there the other day. That's when I bought it.
That's that nookie in the middle.
That's supposed to be a
The
coochie.
pink.
It's supposed to be a coochie.
But I thought it was cool, cause hustler could be like, I'm a hustler, I'm grinding. And if you really look at it, you'd be like, I think that's a coochie.
Infrared coochie?
Man, we got some little injecting things that you put the lube in there, and it's like a...
Stop, bruh.
Never mind.
Hold up, limitless, take a stomach, can't pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Trust, limitless, take a stomach, can't pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key.
Hey man, welcome to the business, friend, bro.
I'm here.
Hey, also too, man, I just want to say, basketball players, y'all live different. We've shot in a lot of off-season homes and temporary spots or new spots. This one is really up there. I felt like I walked in to Nas' house on Belly. You know what I mean? Chan, Freddie T, Fred VanVleet, man, we just appreciate your time. It's big time for you. You are a guy that's gone from undrafted, NBA champion, one of the greatest closeout quarters in finals history. You become an all-star. But now you're moving on. Drake called y'all the Guandango Dragons. He was hating a little bit on your way out. But you're now the Houston Rockets, $130 million man. We were talking about the way the money is moving in the NBA, but a lot of people with your story or the way you got into the league never get to that money. Fifth undrafted guy to ever be an all-star. I want to know, and this is probably like a question that usually happens later, what's the difference between the dude that decided to pass up the G League contracts and go play in the Summer League to the guy now that has a $130 million contract that's going to be expected to lead the Houston Rockets back to playoff contention after they finish tied for the second worst record in the league? What's the difference in between those two guys?
Not much. I mean, obviously life is a little bit better. Like, I can't lie about that. Mentality the same, a little older, a little wiser, a little smarter. Same drive, same everything, and just the vision. You got the vision to come in the way I came into the league, knowing where I wanted to get to, knowing that I was capable of making it to this point. You know what I'm saying? So if you ask what's the difference, I couldn't really tell you. You know, I always feel the same way. Anybody that's known me, that's loved me, they know that this is really who I am. I've been like this since, you know, as old as I can remember. And, you know, everything else that comes along the way, people who haven't been inside the story are surprised and enamored by all of the things that I've been able to do. But, like, we just expect to do it, you know? And then we're more surprised when it don't happen than when it do, you know?
What's the difference? Like you're saying, undrafted, go in, no expectations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you know Toronto loves you.
Right.
Because they took a chance on you.
Right.
Now somebody went out and gave you 130. You really don't know them dudes yet.
Right.
You really don't vibe with them like that. But now they're putting that, I don't want to say pressure, but is it more pressure with the money, got to be a team leader, and you really don't know the people that you're going to the new organization with?
Yeah, no, it's definitely more pressure. It's a lot of pressure. You know, obviously when you sign that dotted line, anything, you know, 9 figures is pressure, right? From a franchise, from a city, from an ownership standpoint. You know, they putting a lot of money behind me and what I'm able to contribute. What I will say though is I think that being in the spot that the team is in right now, I think is really only up from here. So it's like if you add to that, put some vets in there like we did with the young crew that they got, I'm excited about, you know, some of the things that we'll be able to do. And it's like that sweet spot of trying to turn young talent into something. And I think, you know, that's one thing that I'll be able to do is get the best out of my teammates.
Man, we're going to get back to the money in a minute. Because Houston strip clubs, boy, I'm sure they, and that's usually Channing's intro right there, boy.
What was that? Onyx, I think Onyx.
Onyx definitely down there. That's a lot of ones.
Don't go upstairs.
Got it. Heard you.
Let the man get the money first.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, 85 already.
That ink
This is the second time.
Really just talking about mindset based on what RC was saying, and you know, you got the podcast Bet on Yourself. That's the mindset. Back in your youth, you stay with your local AAU and then go to the big time AAUs, and your recruiter said if they see you competing and winning with guys that you shouldn't be winning with, maybe that's an even bigger advantage for you. Speak to your mindset, like, when did that develop? Like, what throughout your childhood led you to be that way? Because a lot of guys, especially in this day and age, they see superstars jumping from ship team to team. A lot of kids want to go that way, even in football. They want to go to the winning organization, the Alabamas. I hate to say this, the LSUs, and things of that nature. They don't want to go in and they want to be a winner.
Right.
Take the easy road, but you want to compete.
Right.
Like, what struck that mindset?
Like you said, just being a competitor in itself, and just any time that I step on the court, feeling like I have a chance. Proving that over and over, time and time again, and then, just who I am as a person. Like, I would much rather, at that age, do it with my friends than hop in the car and drive either an hour or two to Chicago or get on a plane and fly to play with people that I've never met before. And that's kind of more so like a small town thing where it's like, you know who you know, and, the same people that I grew up with is the same people that I'm still with, here today at 29. So those two things, having a small town mentality and just being a competitor. And then as I got older, we would go to the tournaments and we would play against those teams. And if we weren't winning, we were losing, by less than 5. And so in AAU, as long as you can make it to the Sunday where the championships is played in the right bracket, all the coaches in the gym anyway.
Right.
I'd rather be playing with my guys, competing against the teams that's got all the money than on the other side, and then my friends wouldn't even be in this tournament at all. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I looked at it.
It took us a minute to come up with the name for our podcast, The Pit.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to come up with Bet on Yourself?
It didn't take no time at all. That was really born out of my draft night, and then ever since then I just ran with it. But it's one of those things where just kind of putting words on my lifestyle and my character and my personality anyway. Like, that's just my personality, is to bet on myself. So once those words became a thing, then, pretty much everything I do kind of reflected that.
Yeah, you tweeted it, it was June 23rd, 2016.
Yeah.
Things don't become, that can't be the name of your podcast if you stink.
Right.
If you never make it, if you never become a bench player that contributes, that becomes a starter, that becomes an all-star. Nobody wants to listen to you on a podcast anyway. Fred spoke to the mindset of not team jumping and doing those things. I'm an undrafted guy as well. Stories very similar, right? I started 3 years at LSU. I was all conference, all SEC at LSU. When you play 36 games in a row and start there, you expect to be drafted. And then you put in that position where you aren't. You were a Missouri Valley Conference Player twice.
Yeah. And
so you don't get that call. And I heard you say one time you were kind of upset with your agent about taking the 18, workouts at 30 days. But when you finally got that basketball in your hand with an opportunity to go up against some of those dudes that were drafted, whether it be that year or the year before, what gave you so much confidence in knowing that you could one day be in this spot by betting on yourself?
Again, I think just being a competitor in itself and knowing the class rankings. So like Fred said, being in AAU and playing against all of those top teams my whole life, I always knew where I was in the class. And regardless of what somebody wrote as a ranking or whatever shoe deal came with a certain team, I knew if I play against you and you are ranked number 1 and I bust your ass, I know I'm decent.
Right.
And I just always kept that. And so that followed me all the way through college, had success in college. And then once I got to the league, I was more so looking up and seeing, could I hang with some of the other top competition. So it's more so just a basketball thing of being on the court and having a feel for where you are, and, made it to training camp, and I felt good after the first day.
People mess up your name a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I pretty much practiced it the whole flight up here. I was like, bro, don't call this man VanVleet.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize I probably do sometimes, just saying it fast for whatever reason. But people do know your name now because of your accomplishments. But it also goes to your first name as well. That's your mother's name, VanVleet. But your father was Fred Manning.
Yeah.
And your father was killed when you were young. And you were raised with a stepdad that poured into you, not just from a love and emotional standpoint, but taught you that hard work. Having someone step in and take care of a young man that's not his child, like his own, and give him that work ethic. What is that relationship like between you and your stepfather?
Oh, it's great today. It was tough back then. You know, it was tough at first. Just being a stubborn, arrogant kid, you know, he really took like a ball of fire. You know, I was more emotional and just, you know, hot-headed back then, and he really just taught me how to be a man. And I didn't actually appreciate it until probably like my first year of college. You know, we butted heads all through childhood, and then when I went away to school, I got a greater appreciation for, you know, some of the lessons and things that he instilled in me. So it was cool, like, to see our relationship come full circle. But, I mean, when I was 9, 10, 11, I hated him.
Did you understand? Because you were young when your father passed.
Right.
Hell, do you remember it? And was that a pivotal point in your mind, in your life?
Yeah, no, I remember it like vividly. That's the crazy part. And it tripped me out because, you know, my son is 4 now, so he wasn't much older than I was. You know what I'm saying? My dad was 29, so it's real similar. It's crazy. But I remember when that happened. I remember being numb. I remember them telling me, you know, how it happened. Like, I remember all my family reactions. Like, I remember a lot of it. But the biggest thing, the older I got, the more I realized how numb it made me. And unless you've been through tragedy, it's hard to like relate to it, but it just made me super numb to everything. And then it just was like, all right, I'm just focused on what I want to do.
Did that make you the basketball player you are?
Absolutely. And it gave me purpose too from an early age, because it was like, okay, if I go down this road, this is what's gonna happen. And that was drilled in me from 5 years old. So it's like, all right, I know I can't do that. So I'm gonna go over here and do this, and I'm gonna put everything I do into that so that, you know, I don't end up that way.
What were some of those challenges?
I think just growing up in the environment that we grew up in, you know, it's like a place that doesn't have professional athletes, doesn't have a professional team, don't see much success outside of what you see in the street. You know, that was who we really looked up to in the neighborhood. And so not being able to like physically see it in person. So really, we was brainwashed into not being like the people we knew. You don't want to be like that. And that's a weird way to grow up as a kid, to only use a negative example. But, I mean, it worked for me. I never wanted to be average, and I never wanted to end up like, you know, all of the bad stories that you end up hearing.
Does that help you as your relationship develops with Freddie Jr.? Does that help you sort of develop a mindset to say, I'm going to steer this direction as opposed to, you know, some of the things I've seen before in my upbringing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he gonna have a whole different world to live in than what I have, but more than anything, just understanding how much a kid can remember, and they learn by seeing. You know, they're gonna do what you do more than what you tell them to do. So just always, like, I get up early, I make him wake up with me, I make him get ready, I make him brush his teeth, wash his face, I take him to the gym with me. Like, we got a whole routine, and so it's just cool for me to be able to do that, you know, with my little one.
Right.
Yeah, I think our experiences really shape the type of fathers we become, the type of men we become. And you got to deal with the loss of a father and then having to understand the man that raised you. Yeah. And so you'll see your son's view from different perspectives and prisms, but it's gonna be a different life too.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? It's gonna be a different way that he gets to grow up, different opportunities. He's gonna be seen differently than you are.
Right.
When you think about what you've been able to provide through hooping and been able to give your family compared to how you grew up, how much pride, man, do you have? And not necessarily the success, but the work you put in that you do get to show your family and, like you said, the people that were in the small circle around you.
That's the ultimate pride. You know, that's really the reason why I do it, is to take everybody along for the ride. I mean, this is like the shit that we dream about. You know, this is what you think about in the backyard. You know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You know, we sit around in the basement just watching ESPN, watching SportsCenter, looking at different things. So it's like we all still have all those memories, and then, you know, to see it unfold, I'm not even really appreciating it, you know, the best that I can, because I'm still focused on all of the other things that I want to still continue to do. But that's why I keep everybody close to me, you know, just to keep me grounded.
Well, you know, man, we've been working on this a while. I hit you up a while ago, try to get it done, and everybody's like, just wait. You know, wait till the off season. And I'll be honest, I'm sitting around, I'm like, what am I waiting for? I was like, he got a chip already? Like, he an all-star, you know, because like a lot of times people are waiting to accomplish certain things. You don't know how many times we hear, man, let us try to win this Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, man, like your team ain't won a Super Bowl in a long time. Like if
Right.
we gonna wait on that,
Right.
we may never get you on the show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always like something else that people are trying to achieve. And now as you move on to Houston, it's a different sort of challenge for you, right? Like you don't have to prove who you are as a player anymore. Right. People know you can hoop, but now it's like, okay, can this man lead a team? Right. This is a long way from coming off the pick and roll with Siakam and hitting the three from the top of the key and putting your team up to win it. Like this is going to be building from the ground up. Already saw you were out running hills with Jalen recently. Y'all got Dylan Brooks. When you look at this new challenge, which is you being in a different position, how are you approaching who you're going to be once you walk into that locker room?
I'm just gonna be myself. I think that's the best thing that I learned about myself this year. And part of the reason why we never got to do it during the year is because I had a fucked up year. You know, personally, one of my worst seasons, and as a team, not a great season for our standard in Toronto. So just learning, you know, a lot about what it takes to lead a team, to be one of the guys on the team, to take the blame, to take the critiques. And so more often than not, you get pulled in so many different directions. You're trying to please these people over here and please these people, and you're trying to serve everybody else instead of just, you know, walking in and standing tall and being yourself. So it's a great fit. It's a breath of fresh air for me because part of the recruiting process was like, look, we just want you to come here and be yourself. And that alone is going to help raise some of these guys' level with the professionalism, the way you work every day, leading, you know, helping the team. So I'm excited about it.
And bruh, being around you a little bit now, talking before the show, you got a little dog in you.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And then you bring up Pascal Siakam. I know heard the stories that came out. I didn't hear it from your mouth. They said y'all two was starting beef with the team last year.
That's what they said.
They said y'all was starting beef with the team. Y'all didn't like the young guys and all this stuff. And then I saw you as you unfollowed Scotty Barnes, and then he unfollowed you and you followed him back. I don't understand
the shade room or something, man.
Yeah, it was all kind of shit I read before that. Were you and Pascal Siakam starting beef with the team? Did y'all were frustrated with the roster or something else I saw?
No, I think that anything is blown out of proportion. And the thing about nowadays, if you don't speak to a rumor, it becomes true. So what I will say is, for a team that have been, I don't know the exact number, at least one of the top 3 winningest teams in the decade from 2010 to 2020, the Raptors, having the season that we had with a team that had just got to the 5th seed the year before, it was a letdown for everybody. And just the same way when you win the championship and everybody level raises and everybody gets paid and everybody wins accolades, when you underperform, it's the same. Wow. The coach gets fired.
Yep.
Your starting point guard is no longer there. Your best player on the team is now on the trade rumors every day. So it goes hand in hand. There was a mix of guys that have been there, new guys trying to prove themselves. It didn't work out. It wasn't a great fit for whatever reason. The chemistry didn't click, and that's probably the most I can say about that. But to those stories that's coming out, I mean, I can't do nothing about that. I can't. I still got a great relationship with everybody that was there. If there was any issues with me personally, they was never addressed personally. Right. So,
but that's something else that football doesn't have. Like you hear about basketball players going up and talking to the GM, going up talking like. Y'all really have input.
Yeah.
Is that true? Because if I wouldn't dare go talk to the GM about a dude that I know can't play. Man, that's y'all picked him. I'm gonna leave that the hell alone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I think to a certain level, I think so. I think there's more collaboration, especially with the top players, because it's a fine line of like, we got to make this work between the egos and emotions, and more football is more positional. So it's like, you got your job, you got your position coach, y'all got your own separate meetings. Yeah. Like it's a lot more tight-knit than the whole team. You got to manage everybody together. So there may be conversations here and there, but it's also we're in the middle of like a new generation too. So a whole new generation of kids that's entering the NBA that's a little bit different from more, say, how I was brought up in the game too. And I think that's where you're seeing some of the...
Oh, these babies soft. I say it all the time.
But
the young boys are different now.
It's a strange, but you're not old though.
No.
Like you talk like our generation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your demeanor is very much like it. The sort of loyalty you showed to the people that you grew up with and said, I'm gonna play with them. And if I could get, and that's almost like a everybody goes together sort of relationship to have with friends and community. That's not how they grow up now. That's not how they push you to brand yourself. That's not how they push you to market yourself and say, okay, this is who I am individually.
Right.
The game has changed a lot from team. How difficult has it been for you to deal with that change and adjust to it? You know, because sometimes, like, I know my personality is not good with it. Like, I train guys in the league now, and if they're recruiting somebody or somebody tells them they want to come train with me, they give them the rundown before they get there.
Right.
He's like this, he talks like this is the way he addresses things. He wants eye-to-eye contact when he's having a conversation. Don't whisper nothing under your breath, and if you want to throw hands, y'all can throw hands, y'all can be cool. You know, and that's different. I know I wouldn't work in every locker room. Yeah. How's that adjustment been for you?
No, it's tough for sure. And I mean, I know, like, age-wise, I'm not that old, but I'm like right in the middle, you know what I'm saying? So like the first half of my childhood, it was no social media, it was play outside, X, Y, and Z. Once I get to high school, then boom. So it's like I'm kind of right in the middle on that line. So I'm understanding there's a whole new generation that's coming after me. But I mean, more than anything, you just gotta be able to adapt and adjust. And I learned a lot, you know, always got to keep learning and try to find better ways to deal with things. But I think that, you know, my 2 years with the new team that we had in Toronto, I think is going to give me a lot of valuable experience going forward, you know, for my next situation. And, you know, you just got to be able to learn from it.
If you had to go back to the crib and coach the kids, I think I saw your foundation shirts over there. Like, what Fred walks in the building? Fred with the old school mindset, or give him some leeway and kind of let them float along with, you know, what Ryan was saying.
Oh no, I don't play that shit at home though. Not at home. Like I'm full tilt when I'm at home because I'm home. We got a whole different setup than anybody else in the world. Like we don't get opportunities, so we gotta be 1,000% all the way right, buttoned up, on time, you know, looking in the eyes, all of that stuff. So yeah, I cuss kids out my whole camp. Anytime I work out with kids, like, don't bring your kids to me, I'm cussing them out. Right. Because we got to get them right.
Hey, kids go, Mom, don't ever bring me back to, hey, you know, and they mess his name up when they get home too. Yeah. I ain't never going back to VanVleet shit.
My kid, my soft-ass kid. Man, Dad, I remember one summer, we put them in summer camp, and they came home, and they was like, Dad, the kids say bad words at the camp. So I'm like, all right, what's the words they were saying? Yeah. He said the little boy, all he kept saying was nigga, 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 nigga. I'm like, that's a bad word. But my kids, they hadn't been exposed to us. Yeah. Because the middle schools and the schools they were coming up in, we are the minorities for real. You know, it's Hispanic, it's Caucasian, it's white. But when they got in the hood, try to toughen them up, they was like, nigga, excuse my language, was a bad word. Mm-hmm. But you got to get them out there. You got to expose them, right? Yeah. So you got to be tough on them.
You got to.
You got to be tough.
That's the only way I know how to do it. So, I mean, in a professional setting, is always going to be a different person than, you know, when I'm home comfortable with my people, for sure.
Let's talk about something good, man.
Yeah,
let's talk about the run. It's Jurassic Park outside the arena.
Does it involve the Miami Heat?
Yeah.
I know. I didn't like you then, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, I know. We good now. We solid. Yeah, sure. But I'm a Heat.
You know, they said normally good things happen around the time you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
In your life, man. And, you know, you guys go on that run. You know, everybody, it's the classic picture of Kawhi squatting in the corner, you know, after he hits the shot against Philadelphia. Obviously, you have the great run in the finals. You're chasing Steph off all the screens. You know, he actually mentions you post-game after you guys win. You have that historic fourth quarter. What was that run like for you individually and team-wise? Like, I was prepared to just ask you about the run for you, but just seeing how your mind works, I know for you to bring something to Toronto like that and be a big part of it was huge for you.
Yeah, I think you got to go back to my first 2 years, which was like 57 wins or 59 wins both years. Second year was coach of the year. So we thought we had a championship teams 2 years in a row. We got swept by LeBron. We just didn't have an answer. You know what I'm saying?
It's a little different.
Okay, but when you competing, I don't want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't think like that in the moment, right? So fast forward to the third year, that run, people don't realize is about 2.5 months, right? So the season's over in April. About April 15th, playoffs probably start. I think the finals is ending in June, middle of June, right? So about 2 months of extra basketball. So it's a lot of ups and downs. Luckily, we had Kawhi to do most of the heavy lifting, but we had a lot of other great, performances. I actually didn't even play that well the first 2 series, just dealing with a lot of different stuff. My son is born, and then, I get hot, and it was really just like being in the zone. Anybody who's ever been in the zone, you just know how that feel, but I was able to do it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was. So, yeah, special time for sure.
I mean, it's got to be good at some point, huh, Chan? This is a Fred and Channing question to win the light skin wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it's a lot of y'all.
Yeah. That's why I hate when you and Steph was playing against each other. I'm like, man, we got a civil war going on between us Reds, right? But speaking of that with Steph, like you just brought up Bron too, and we all watched it. We watched what happened. Like when you play them dudes, and I'll say you wasn't established like that then.
Right.
When Bron's out there doing what he did, do you feel defenseless? Because watching it, it looks defenseless. Like, them boys can't do nothing.
Yeah, sometimes, yes. Like, he had a second or third quarter against us, one of them playoff series where he just decided he was going to just shoot turnaround jumpers the whole quarter, and there's just nothing you can do. Off glass, all net, like you knew what move he was going to do, and he still did it, and there's nothing you can do. And it used to be a lot more of those, like, older, you just knew Kobe was going to take you out. Like, there's certain guys, but Bron definitely gave us a couple of those performances where it was just like, well, I mean, what you going to do?
Yeah.
Especially me, like, I mean, what the hell? What am I going to do? It ain't nothing I could do. You know what I'm saying? Steph is a little different because, like, all right, I feel a little bit better. Like, he's more closer to my side, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, Bron was on a different time.
And to that point, because I know when we talked about it earlier, there's more people on the football sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when I went out one time, Randy Moss caught 4 touchdowns on us in the game, and I'm looking at the corner. His name might have been Jason Allen. And you just lean up and stare at him like, do something. Trip him, kick him, do something. Don't let him dog you.
Yeah.
When somebody's on Bron or you're on Steph.
Yeah.
Because Steph got off on you a couple times.
No, he got off a lot.
Okay, I just we in your house. I didn't want to get kicked out.
No, he got off a lot.
Like, do y'all encourage him, or do you be looking at like, bro, get in front of him, do something?
No, me, I had like dirty football coaches growing up, so I still got that in my mind. So it's like certain things, is just disrespectful when you on defense. So it's like I'm always thinking like, just do something, just make them think about it. It was one time he was spinning, he was jab stepping, and he was just fixing the laces. And he shot one. Another time he fell into the stands and he took a sip of beer and jumped back in, like shit like that. I'm looking like, nah, we can't go for that. So I actually tried to get with him one time, just to shake the momentum up. But it was like, it was nothing we could do.
Basketball is a different sport too, because when all else fails in football, you just think physicality.
Right.
It's like, I'm just gonna run down, put my face on them, and we're gonna see what happens. For y'all, it's such a different sport. And also, man, we get to watch your reactions while it's happening. If Steph hits the 3 and he's coming down, shimmying and doing all that stuff, like we're watching you, whether you're defeated by it, whether you're pissed off and you want to put hands on them. When you went for 54 that night, did you have that same feeling from the other side though? You was like, hey, I know ain't nothing none of y'all can do. It's the most ever scored by an undrafted player, probably will stand the test of time. When you get into a zone like that, what's that feeling like?
Yeah, especially, if they're not going to send a double or nothing or switch up nothing they're going to do, like, it's just a shooting drill at that point. For me, that night was just one of them zones that you get in, and I found my spots. Luckily I had Kyle Lowry to just kind of run the show, and I could just run around and shoot. Yeah, that was like it was like a workout with human cones.
See what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand that though, right? Because like when I go shoot basketball, even if I get hot, that's 5 for 10.
Right.
And that's a good day. Like,
yeah.
I leave the over 40 hoop session at LA Fitness feeling good.
Yeah.
I go stop and get a smoothie, everything. I call my son FaceTime. Yeah, Joe, I was on their head today. I
Ice your knees.
Yeah, right. When you're playing with Kawhi and you go on that run, and you talked about the way y'all even started your career, and now you mentioned losing last year, and it gets to the point you're the all-star now, right? You're the guy now, and it's all these things happen to get me to this point. I get a ring. We become one of those teams that's a perennial playoff performer, and now when it's my time, this is what it's like. How difficult was that for you just individually? You said yourself, it's one of my worst individual years. How hard was last year for you?
Yeah, it was tough. It was just a lot of things going on at once, but I mean, you always got to try to have great perspective, and that's one thing that I've been able to be blessed with, is just having vision and feel to know there's a lot that goes into it. So as a competitor, as somebody that's super proud and prideful, like, I'm always my worst critic, and I'm always way harder on myself than anybody. So you can kind of pile up on yourself. But I mean, if you really just look around and pay attention to what's going on, like, the NBA is changing, the landscape is changing, there's more parity. You look around the league, there's other guys, great players that, is in similar situations. So you just gotta try to find that balance of, like, being honest with yourself, seeing what you can be better at, but also being realistic too.
How much does the L really hurt though? Like, he didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, I care.
How you gonna say I didn't care?
Because you say it all the time that you used to count your money before the game started.
I wanted to win, but I also knew I was making $17,000 a year, one, $23,000 a year too.
You had Tootsies, the
No,
Rolex.
I would party to
Oh, you was
celebrate.
one of them. You was one of them.
Yeah,
right? You still one of them.
Huh?
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically, because that's a good word.
Yes, it
Don't
is.
tell me that.
Hypothetically.
I had a table every
No
Sunday
matter
night.
what.
Yeah, you have to celebrate the morning.
Yeah.
But the people in the club was celebrating the morning with me.
Amen.
I was a shirt off guy.
Okay.
You ever take your shirt off in the club?
Nah.
You never?
Nah.
Even at 21?
Nah.
Man, I worked too hard not to show them what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like a woman. They can wear the little they can wear the little
You also
clothes.
have
I
to
wanna wear
realize
the-
what your face and teeth look like at that time.
The cameras wasn't as crazy back then.
That's,
either.
yeah, they had killed me back then.
You weren't a 10 yet. Now you a 10. You ain't got to do that.
They used to let me get on the stage at the strip club and dance with the girls
Yeah,
on the
you
stage.
can't do that in 2023.
You can't, because remember Lil Wayne song, The Wildcat Offense, Check My Paw Print? I could really run the thing with the strippers. I told the story before. I used to kick my leg and the stripper would act like she snapped the ball, and I would run the little hand fake and then take off.
Yeah,
Man,
you
I'm
might
gonna
get
be
cut if you do that.
So check with the legends that have gone through Toronto, Vince, T-Mac, Chris Bosh, you would think one of those guys would be the single game high point person. But speaking to that 54 that RC was talking about, is it more special knowing that you're the high point man over those guys, or you're the high point man in NBA history, undrafted player?
Both, because you just got to know your history. I mean, if you think about all of the great undrafted players that's come along, and then you look at all of the players just off the top, T-Mac, Vince, Chris Bosh,
Hall of Famers.
DeMar, Kyle Lowry,
Right.
Kawhi, like, that's 6,
Yeah.
right there. We could just stop right there. And so, yeah, I mean, I took a lot of pride in it, but again, I'm like a different person on the court. So it's like all of these things I expected to do. There would be nights when I would have 30 and people was, going crazy. And I'm in my head, I'm like, I should have had 60. So it was like, it was something that I expected when it happened. I couldn't, believe it, but it's like, I mean, it's what I do, you know what I mean? So I never really looked at it like that.
I feel like we're striking out with basketball players, right? I wanted to actually do a show with a basketball player who acted like a basketball player, right? Like, I don't want a tough one, right? I want one that does go to the club a lot.
Yeah.
I want one that doesn't care about winning or leading the locker room, right? We had him and Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Right? 2 mean mother effers, you know what I'm saying? Like 2 guys who, so for when you want to relax, Fred, and like you actually want to become human, man, and laugh, like what do you do? Like what do you, when you won the championship and they asked you at the game, you was like, well, Kawhi can't take all the shots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when do you relax, man, and just enjoy what you've accomplished?
Vacation. Vacation, that's my time. I like to travel, vacation, beach. But that's only like 2 weeks out the year. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the time I'm trying to figure it out. Obviously, when I'm home with my kids and my family, like, it's a different me as well. But I don't know. We on borrowed time, man. That's just how I wake up every day, and you got to try to make the most out of it. While you can.
You've been with your lady a long time.
Yeah.
I always find those stories interesting because there is so many times, there's so many different options, and for her to stay down in the way she has, and for you to be that way, that sort of loyalty is something that's unique in today's world. As you guys are building your family throughout your success, how much do you use that as a foundation to make sure that no matter what happens in the gym, no matter what happens in the season, like I know that's why I always come back to find my peace?
Yeah, no, that's the rock. It's always been like that, and more earlier than now. It was my way of like just staying focused. Like I would go to the gym, I would be with her. I'd go to the gym, I'd be with her. She went to school with me, so it was like I wasn't really running around doing too much. But yeah, just building that and having somebody that you could share that with, it means the most. Also, it's a small town thing where you meet your childhood sweetheart and you just stay with her, your whole life. Like that's just what we know. You know what I mean? So I didn't really know no better. But all this time later, here we are. I'll tell the real story, probably when I'm retired. Because you got to keep it PC now. But yeah. she been thugging, bro. She been right there the whole time, and it's a huge blessing, especially once you make it professionally. You hear all the stories and you read about things that's going on, or you got teammates in the locker room telling you about their situations. Like I've been super blessed for sure.
You like to travel. You ever do any nudist colonies?
No. That's a little bit outside of my my range there. But you're a wild boy though. I just want to tell you that. Obviously, I watch y'all show.
Right,
sure.
that's his first stop.
Yeah,
I just had to throw it out.
You know this one in Toronto?
There's one in Toronto?
Yeah,
What's
it's in the city too. I rode past it on accident.
No, not accident.
No, it was an accident. We was on the boat. We was going on the boat, going through the water, and you just on the boat, and we jumped in the water, just chilling, and then there was a dude just swam past us, ass naked. We looking like, what? And then you look up on the beach, and there's a whole bunch of naked people there.
Yeah, because it's just a chill spot, man. It's just cool.
Hey,
you know what?
Robbie, the dude, you could get your boy that was on the side of the road today with his pants pulled out.
They wild
with
out
his
here.
hands like this.
A naked dude side the road coming over here.
Did you get out?
Nah, I don't want to hang with him.
Hey,
But no.
did you tell him about the party you throwing?
What's that?
The one you and Freaky Z gonna throw. You and Zion. We gonna do next year.
I can't hang with him.
Next year at the All-Star. Next year NBA All-Star. Channing Crowder, Zion Williamson, special event.
He on a different vibe. He wild. What a tornado position. I don't even know what. I had to look it up, and I'm nasty. I had to look up something.
Tornado.
I said the tornado. Look it up. Gonna blow your fucking mind. Look it up. He too big to be tornado, and the girl big too. Mariah Milton, whatever. I said they both big. But you know what? It was funny. It lead right into one of my questions talking about the nudist colony. Can you sneak around? Not sneak around. I'm talking about sexually, but like, can you just go to the store? Can you go to Walmart, Publix? Like, do people?
Yeah. All the time.
And nobody knows
especially
you are.
Hooded up, hat. I'm good. That's why I don't go nowhere with NBA players. They too tall. Like, even if people don't know who they are, they just know they just don't fit. Like, anything 6'3" and 6'4" and up, you just look out of place wherever you go.
So you vacation and you just a dude hanging out?
Nah, it depends on where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, depends on where I'm at. But, like, grocery store, just running around, yeah, I definitely can get where I need to go by myself for sure.
And is it different in Canada? Because Canadians are nice as hell.
Yeah.
Is it different in Canada? Because you about to be in a different city.
Yeah, it's super different, and the visibility up there is way different because it's only one team for the whole country, basketball-wise, So it's like you got the whole Canada. This is Canada's team. We're super famous up there, so it's a whole different ballgame.
You gonna miss it?
You think
that's the next question.
Do you get VanVleet or Drake more though?
VanVleet. No, they know it. They know Drake. Yeah. No, they know Drake for sure.
Yeah.
What are you gonna miss the most about Toronto, and what do you look forward to about the new city, Houston?
I mean, Toronto is like where I became who I am. You know what I mean? Obviously, grow up in your hometown, you go to school, but I've spent the last 7.5 years there. So just miss so much about it. You make so many relationships with so many people, the fans there, the way they support, the franchise is top tier. The history that we made, the accomplishments that we made, those are all things that will stand the test of time.
Right.
We brought the team's only championship there. just being a part of all of those memories, that's like you leaving behind, a special moment in time. So I can't even really give you a great answer on. I'm gonna miss everything about it.
They love ketchup up there, right? They love syrup. The milk comes in a bag. Did y'all know this?
I did not.
Don't it?
I just want
Fred,
to
don't the milk, no, the milk, no, motherfucker, the milk come in the bag, don't it, bro?
You can get it in a bag.
The milk come in the
I think
bag.
you can get milk in the bag anywhere.
get it.
Go get milk in the bag in L.A.
Yeah, you can get it in a bag.
In the bag
It's different up there. I'm with you. It's
Tim
different.
Hortons.
Yeah,
I did my research, man. They got poutine,
yeah.
all that shit.
Yeah. Have you spent time there before? I know y'all go in Buffalo. Y'all do
We
the little
played
trip.
Buffalo. I wouldn't even go to my hotel room. We land in Buffalo. I drop my bag at the concierge desk, and we go straight to Toronto to the strip club with the red lights all around the top. I forgot the name now. They had a little Perkins across the street. Ooh.
Yeah.
Fred.
No, Toronto's a special place, like in the world. It's like a top
I've been
city
trying to get
in the
to
world.
Carabana for my whole life.
It's a special place in the world. I'll just say that.
If you know somebody that knows somebody, put the pivot plug in.
Y'all want to go for Carabana?
Yeah.
Oh, say no more.
Hey, don't
I
put
just
the pivot
want
plug in.
to see the
Plug it
culture.
for Fred.
Okay, just
No,
for
I just
Fred.
want to see
All
the
right.
culture. You ain't gonna come?
No. No, sir. Not unless we got a show.
We got a show.
Yeah, you gonna
This
make
could
a
be
show.
got
a couple players.
I get you an interview.
Yo, that's yeah.
That's what I like.
When you get into the off season and you're prepping for free agency and knowing, I'm assuming, did you know you were going to leave Toronto, that going back was
No,
not a part of the
no,
conversation?
not at all. I mean, obviously, I signed 2 years ago. They offered me an extension at the beginning of the season. I decided not to take the extension just to enter free agency and, kind of see what the market was. But I never really even thought about leaving until probably like a week ago. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like it just happened that way. I was just so invested in, trying to figure out how we could bounce back from, the year that we just had. That's all I was thinking about. But, free agent things go as they go. And I had to start thinking about some other options. And, that's when Houston came along.
What was the turning point? Because there always becomes a point. I was in Miami. It's my free agency, and they told me, they said, we're going to start you with an offer that's higher than what Pittsburgh's offer. So I go down, I spend the day, I'm sitting in the hotel waiting for the offer. I'm thinking I'm going to stay there and sign, because you already told me you're going to start me higher than where we were.
Right.
And they didn't start me there.
Right.
I called my agent. I said, I'm not even waiting no more. I said, book a flight. I said, because they lied.
Yeah.
That was the turning point for me, where I called Pittsburgh, like, look, let's just get this deal done. Right? There's always something throughout free agency that kind of wakes you up to know, okay, I may have to look at other places, or I may have to figure something else out. Was there one point in your process where you said, okay, leaving Toronto is now a high possibility?
Yeah, I think, you always have your own perspective on what you think your value is. And so just throughout those conversations and kind of where we started at and how it was going, then, you look at it and say, okay, well, that's not matching up with what I think, or why do they have my value at what they have it at? And let's look at the whole total picture. And I just think it was just time for a change of scenery for everybody, for me, for them, for everybody. And ultimately, we weren't able to keep going, but on the other end, I had a great offer on the table already while I'm still talking to them, so now you put them together and you weigh them out, and it's like, it was really tough, like really, really, really tough. My stomach was in knots trying to figure it out, because there was no wrong choice. And those are the hardest choices to make, when there's no wrong way to go. I could have went back for whatever the deal was, or I could go start something new. And ultimately, I just chose, a new setup.
And RC laughed about Drake and you and, light-skinned dudes, Barack, Steph, all those dudes taking over the world. And, but with Drake, man,
Yeah.
my opinion, he does too much. I watched him physically assault Nick Nurse in the playoffs. Y'all call it a shoulder rub. Can I walk into Piccadilly or the Piggly Wiggly and rub the cashier's shoulders? No.
That is harassment.
That's harassment.
Okay.
Does Drake be doing too much? Because you were there for years and you watched him be there assaulting Nick Nurse.
I mean, you can't walk into the Piccadilly, but you could give him a different interaction than a stranger, right? Yeah, like he's there. That's our guy. You know what I'm saying? And more than anything, he messing with the other team the whole game. So I ain't got no problem with it. He was distracting them, making them miss free throws and get texts and all of that. So it was cool. It's just, he's the biggest superstar in the world, but he act like a regular crazy fan during the game. I think it was a good setup.
And the players like it, because we got Khaled down there. Khaled ain't wild as Drake, but Khaled put pillows down and put his feet on and all.
Yeah.
The players don't care about it. Even on the other side, when you go to another team that got one of them famous super fans, it ain't really phasing y'all. Y'all don't care about it.
Nah, not me. I don't really do too much interaction with the fans because I just don't. I'm not wired to be joking and I'm not wired like that. Right. So, but when it's your people, it's easy. When it's somebody else, it's like, all right, just watch your mouth. Just keep it on the basketball side.
Yeah, he definitely don't look like the type that joke with him. Share their drinks and all that. He got a demeanor like mine.
Yeah.
The joke can go too far. There is a joke to me, even if you're famous, that means you want to fight me.
For sure.
There's a joke somewhere in there, and I'm gonna find it too.
He don't smile during game. First time I seen him smile was today.
He barely smiled now.
I don't be out there to play around like that. I'm out there to get a job done, and I got little man syndrome. So it's like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? That's everywhere I go.
So check it, Fred. You watch the show.
Yeah.
We don't need no hesitation when I ask you this, because most of our guests hesitate when I ask this question, or we ask this question. Your biggest pivot in life?
I would say when I was 5. I was thinking about it. I knew you was going to ask me that. I was thinking about that earlier today. And I think the perfect answer would be draft night, not getting drafted, blah, blah, blah. But if I'm really being honest, it would be when my dad died. And not even knowing what a pivot is, but just understanding that in my life, that's the point where it's that's where I would start the movie at. You know what I'm saying? Boom. And then we go from there.
That's the perfect answer, bro. We were trying to get it done for a long time, man. I think this was the perfect time to do it. You got what you deserved. You were on the phone with your agent. You heard how negotiations go. People don't try to give you money you don't earn. Mm-hmm. From being undrafted, man, to playing in the D-League, to winning a championship there, what you did at Wichita State, bro, you earned this opportunity. And they could talk about height, athleticism, whatever it is, the film don't lie, right? The success doesn't lie, man. Just keep it going. And my last question to you is what can we expect, man, from Bet on Yourself?
Hey, we gotta get them Houston Rockets in the playoffs, man. That's where my mind is at. I've been in the lab this week, so we gotta get the Houston Rockets, where they supposed to be at. That's all I've been thinking about.
Can't wait to see it, big dog.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, bro. See, he was already ready for it, though, Freddie.
Oh,
yeah. You can't ask somebody who ready for it. You know what I mean? He watched the show.
They watched the show too, right?
Yeah, he watched the show.
It's love, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got a pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got a pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up.